In this Semantic SEO masterclass with Koray Tuğberk, I'll be interviewing Koray on how to rank #1 with Semantic SEO, how to learn it, plus what he learned reading over 4,000 Google patents, plus how to get a big competitive advantage during the age of AI. So, what is Semantic SEO?
Even without saying hello.
Let's get straight into it.
Okay. So Semantic SEO is an SEO effort for understanding structured search engines. It means that rather than just a lexical search, the search engine tries to connect different type of concepts to each other based on different type of possible connections. It's like creating a information graphic. Let's say you have 6 different concepts that appears on a paper, and there are, let's assume, 360 different ways of connecting them to each other. And a semantic search engine tries to understand what is the best possible way to connect these words to each other. Second step is which query or which keyword actually is the best possible candidate for this connection. And one of the main difference between, let's say, the semantic search engines and lexical search engines is that lexical search engine just tries to match the keyword, match the string. Semantic search engine, it has a knowledge graph behind it, and it tries to actually checks the accuracy, and it tries to also decrease the cost for itself. Because when you look at the triples, like Tom Hanks acted in, let's say, Green Miles, if you see this similar sentence, you can actually implement this template for any other actor or actress or any other movie, which means that they can gather all these sentences together, create patterns, and create faster indexation. And this faster indexation based on templates helps search engines to decrease the cost tremendously. And if you use these templates, you start to rank higher for these search engines too.
So it's like you're making it easier and cheaper to crawl the content, which means that it's easier to rank the website.
Definitely, because let's say you have a very complicated website and all the content is different from each other. Let's say in every affiliate blog you say this is the best bicycle, this is the best electric scooter. So the best as a superlative, for instance, it only one thing can be best, and you can have different bests for different conditions or different use purposes. And if you say that 2 things are best for the same context, it means that there is a conflict in your information. And if there is a kind of connection, let's say a kind of conflict between these 2 specific sections, it means that your information graphic has some flaws, and the search engine will realize it in the second phase. In the first phase, there is something that we call distributional semantics, which means they don't check what your sentences actually mean. This is also appearing in Google's latest API link. They actually truncate every document. They don't check every sentence, they just check certain type of sentences. For instance, the sentence just after the heading, the sentences after just the title tag, and if these sentences don't have certain type of co-occurrences, you are not indexed or you are not served, and you are losing the relevance. If your page has 2 different main entities equally, again, you are diluting the relevance. So basically, Semantic SEO is using these type of tricks to increase the relevance while decreasing the cost for search engines.
And let's say someone watching this is fairly new to Semantic SEO or doesn't understand where to get started. What's the first place to get started? Obviously, I've seen your course. It's great.
My course is one of the good options. I can definitely tell it because there is not that much course about Semantic SEO at all. For instance, in entire search engine optimization industry, I am the only one who processed entity attribute value concept. And just actually 2 days ago, I found the same concept in the Google's leak. So to be honest, I was proud of myself when I see that specific part on that leak, because it was also appearing in the patents. That's why I implemented it and processed that. But I also must tell that this is the feedback from also many communities. Sometimes people have over 15 years of SEO experience and they say that my course is new to them and they love it because they feel excited. And sometimes brand new SEOs, they also learn really fast and they go faster. If you have experience with linguistics, if you love language, if you love concepts, if you love puzzles, then I believe you'll be okay with our course and Semantic SEO as well. And if you want to start with the most basic things, I suggest you to start a very simple website. For instance, you can also create new queries, like lorem ipsum queries. And imagine that there is no keyword like that, but you just make it up. And you can start to actually create 5 different websites, and you can organize these websites differently. And you can test which one actually is ranking higher for this fake synthetic keyword. And then you can actually try to compare their semantics to each other. There are a few very, very basic things like taxonomy, ontology, and then from there you will go for other things like tense, aspect, modality matching, for instance. It means that the tense in the question should be matching the tense in the answer. And if the modality on the question is can, will, would, your answer should also start with it. So there are these type of very basic rules. You even don't need to understand, but you can just memorize and use them. And if you join our community, we have like multiple different cohorts. And I don't touch these cohorts. They are course members, and they create their own groups for different purposes. For instance, one cohort is just for examining the Google API link, one cohort just for creating content briefs, one cohort just for writing content. You can just say hello to them, and they can just actually help you for learning these things better. I must tell that this is one of the most academic part of the SEO. It's not like just straight, let's say, not like the old days. Unfortunately, it requires reading, researching, and too much testing.
And did you learn a lot of this from studying and reading Google patents, or where did you get this information from?
I was at the beginning, actually, in my career, I was a PBN manager, and we were in the casino industry, and we made really good amount of money. And we started to launder the money by creating a crypto exchange platform. It's reality, and you can even check someone who got actually 12,000 years of penalty lately. So I say, I say many people also too, because we left most of these things when we see that. But basically, when you're a PBN manager, you have like thousands of websites. It's a really huge chance for you to understand the search engines. And during the first day of 2018 August, like the 1 August 2018, in the medic update, we lost everything. And once we lost everything, we tried to break the algorithm one more time by using fake traffic, pop ads, CTR manipulation, and again, we created other thousands of websites. It didn't work same. So after that point, some people went to the Georgia, constructed some malls. Some others went to the Kazakhstan, did some stuff different. Some others continue with the crypto. I continue with the SEO. I joined military, and I continued with SEO. And then once I returned to the SEO, I realized that actually I should change something. And then by luck, I clicked a website. It belongs to the Sean Anderson. And for many years, I am thanking him. Then from there, I click another website, which is the SEO by the Sea from Dear Bill Slavsky. And through these years, I read actually more than 4,000 Google patents and over 2,000 Bill Slavsky articles. And after a point, you start to train a GPT in your brain. Once you read all these things, it's like that. And
Koray GPT.
yeah. And after reading, I started also test, and it started to work really well. So then I started to construct a new methodology, and we started to publish case studies for just actually, I was writing for myself at the beginning. And one day, one person just said to me, hey, do you want to do an interview? I said yes. And people love the idea, ranking without links. It happened, but still, I believe many people also get it wrong as well, because even I did an interview, for instance, with the Irfan Azimi, who is the anonymous source of this Google API link. In that interview too, I say that actually we are not against link building in any way. We also do link building. We also buy links. We are okay with it. So the purpose here is actually using your own internal signals best as much as possible, so that actually your links also can help you even further, even better. So it was the main idea there, because when you're a PBN manager, you do everything with the links. Then you start to realize that, okay, there are some other stuff in the website. And from there, by starting from patents, it continued like that. As an extra suggestion, if you want to read patents, you don't need to read all of it. Just check the inventor. If you see Amit Singhal, Paul Har, Stephen De Baker, Nitin Gupta, Krishna Bharat, or some other inventors like this, read their patents mainly, because if you see these people in the design as a design, it means that Google is using them. And also, if you check the Google's latest API link, you will see a huge correlation between patents. And it's not, this API link is not new if you actually read the patents as well.
So you interviewed, obviously, the person who was responsible for the Google leaks recently, can imagine, like, if I was in his position, I would have been scared to release that information.
There's a good thing about him, to be honest, because I won't give any name, but some other people, for instance, they didn't share it. They just actually told it to the Google, and they put they aligned themselves with the Googlers for having a good positive relation with them, and then they also kept the file for themselves. So from Erfan's point of view, I believe he has a very similar personality to me, and maybe to you, and to other SEO thought leaders who try to help the communities. He literally wanted to help because he doesn't have any financial purpose there. And I believe he is safe. All the Google legal team actually checks his LinkedIn account daily. If they try to find something
That's
there.
great. This is what I wondered, was like, legally, where are the boundaries?
The funny thing is that it was indexed by Google, and he was a Google user, and he found it from Google.
Yeah.
And it was in a Microsoft website. So sharing it, like Google shared it first, Google indexed it, Google invited their own users there. So legally, I am not a legal expert, of course. I'm sure that Google will try their best to make him in a different position. And I also, before shaking his hand, I also say that even if I lose my company, I will keep supporting him with all my power. I must tell that. And I believe that Google tries to make every SEO forget this. Most SEO influencers, when I see that they do some analysis, but they do analysis like just 2,000 words, 4,000 words. The leak has like 14,000 attributes there, and it will take maybe years to dig in, understand, connect it to the different type of findings, and create a hierarchy of them. But every individual in this industry should look at it, and we should actually start breaking the chains of the wolf in the SEO's minds. And this was something that I was trying to do actually for a really long time. And this is the second reason that actually I read patents and I share the case studies, because whenever I look at these Google Search Relations team or other ones, they just try to actually keep SEOs in the dark as much as possible. They don't want SEOs to know or learn a true advanced SEO. And they enjoy some of these simple stuff because of that too. When did you last time you see that actually a Googler gives a really advanced SEO advice?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember that happening ever.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you go them and you say that I lost my website, I lost my job, my family is in a hard situation, and they say that things change.
Yeah, I mean, after, particularly on Twitter, like some of the situations I saw where, like you say, people had lost their income, they had to support their family, they had no hope of recovering their website, and the information they got back was hopeless in many cases, right?
And for instance, one of my best moments for my career, I always remember someone from Bangladesh, actually, he just has sent pictures and videos of 2 kids of him and said that I'm able to feed my family thanks to your case studies.
Right.
And it was the moment that I felt that, okay, I'm glad that I'm sharing these case studies, and I kept doing it. For instance, I saved a cat from street, and I was able to find a family for that cat because a person who saved his family during the COVID, based on our case studies, wanted to pay back the favor, and he owned the cat. Right now, he is actually sending me videos. I can also show you for that cat as well if you want to put an interview. So when you have this connection, you keep sharing. For instance, I gifted my course to 300 people while not selling it. The only reason behind that is actually just breaking this chain. Like Googlers continue to control SEO industry via SEO influencers, to be honest. Because when an SEO influencer goes closer to the Googler, basically it gets exposure to the enterprise companies. And many influencers, white hats, they actually use this like an opportunity. And many people also think that I'm a white hat. No, I don't care. I actually just whatever works at.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about what makes money, really.
Yeah, and also from that honest point of view, from that conscious point of view, as Erfan said as well, you feel very much better when you actually share this thing. And he did, I believe, something that we didn't see before on that level. And everyone in this industry should hug him at least one time and say thank you to the face, to be honest. He did a great job there.
Respect that. All right, so like, for example, for someone like me, I'm all about simplicity and making things actionable. And I think you look at SEO in a much deeper way. on a higher strategic level, right? Because, for example, I know with your editorial guidelines, when you hire a writer, you have like a 200
Over
point
200, yeah.
checklist, right? And so how does someone take your knowledge and then make it actionable? Or is it just something like it's an infinite game where you make little optimizations, you test, you learn, but it's going to take a long time to master, of course.
From my point of view, my rule set actually started to appear through the years because I did like 5 years of research. For instance, just the other day, again, I was checking the leak files and I found a concept there from Google. Google actually calls yes or no questions polar questions. I call these questions Boolean questions, but Boolean question is my concept, but they call the same thing as polar question. And they have a template matching system there, and they want the answer to start with yes or no. If there is no consensus, they want it to start with like it depends, it varies, it changes. So when you get these type of templates, you start to understand which predicate is better for which type of topic and what type of sentence structures are better for what type of question formats. Once you get it through the years, from patterns, from testing, from all these case studies, projects, you start to turn them into a very simplistic rules. My rules actually are not that complicated, I can tell. For instance, it says don't start sentences with if. Don't use bridge words. For instance, if you didn't complete a context, do not open a new paragraph. Or if you mention an entity 2 times, start next time with an attribute of it. Let's say we define you, like who is Julian Goldie, and we give 2 sentences by starting with you. In the third one, we start with an attribute of you. This attribute should be the most relevant representative attribute to the question. If we ask who is Julian Goldie, and let's say you're an SEO emperor, in this case, the third one will start with the empire in this case. Or it will start with the network or success or something else. So there are these type of very simplistic rules. And lately I started to create GPT agents to help my team and also client teams. And I will share them with the community as well. And I introduced some of these GPT agents already in the stage to see the reactions. For instance, one of them is named entity suggester. Let's say you have written an article, but you missed most of the entities. This system gets these missing entities, explains why it is important, and how you should insert them into your paragraph by protecting the context. I have a project, for instance, just for pregnancy weeks. And we have a very hardworking expert mother on the project, and the project also belongs to her too. And when she writes everything, like week 1, week 2, week 3, until to do 50, I don't remember how many weeks actually pregnancy takes to this, like 50 or something, I guess I will learn it in the future. But once we write these things, I start to compare it to the ranking documents or possibly ranking documents, the documents that also ranked in the past as well. Then I realize that actually there are lots of missing entities. Then I go and ask my GPT agent and I tell it that, give me all the most important entities for every week, explain why it is important for this week, but it is not important for the next one. It starts to give lots of different type of concepts and explains it to you directly, like why it is important for that week. And I remember some Latin verse for that, and why it is not important for the next one. Then you start to insert these sections directly to your article, and it helps you to gain the speed. So even if it's hard, I believe this is the easiest era for implementation or implementing these things. And another thing is that the reason for going deeper, maybe you know the owner of Autoblogging AI, and he is also in our system, and he tries to implement it, our framework, he tries to implement it to Autoblogging AI. Let's say we all use Autoblogging AI, and let's say we all use the same principles. Let's say we all use Autoblogging AI, we all use the same principles, same methods. At the end of the day, the search engine will need to choose. And when you ordered 10 million websites, and when you need to choose best 3 to rank one of them, you will need to learn these advanced sections as well. If you are just a local business, let's say in maybe Birmingham or maybe in Alabama, probably will be okay. You don't need to know that much. And in Alabama, I don't know how many dentists, to be honest, exist even. When it comes to ranking for these online casino related things, and if you are working with, let's say, GIZ, Boosta, or very big companies, you will need to know, show, implement very advanced stuff. And usually you will be racing with very, very marginal gainings there. And you will be need to be optimizing micro components so that you can actually create a difference in the historical data or clicks data from the search engine end as well. It's the reason that actually we try to go further as much as possible.
Do you think what sort of tools help you with semantics? Like, would you say auto-blogging is one of the best for AI content, or do you think you have to do it yourself and there's no shortcuts there?
In my situation, out of two reasons, usually I try to avoid advocating for any tool because it's a very commercial topic, and most of the time I didn't share any tool. Even my course, you don't see it that much. But in my daily life, let's say, I use SEMrush and Ahrefs, both of them, but it doesn't matter. You can use, let's say, Senuto from Poland, or you can use Search Atlas from USA. As much as you can get actually some simple data from there, it will be okay. But from other aspects, I believe that people focus on tools and their fancy user interface too much. And then they actually lose the real grip on the algorithms. Because a tool might be telling you to use, let's say, 5 different questions. But in reality, the questions that you should be using actually might be really different than what the tool is actually saying. Until now, for any case that I didn't use any tool besides my just brain actually, and usually I work with very simple processes too. I get the queries and I start processing the query as search engine does. The next step is generating questions. I'm ordering questions, giving them a hierarchy, then I start to design answers and answer components for them. I don't know a tool actually can do it. In Zakopane, I made a workshop. I will publish its recording also very soon. And I also, in that workshop too, I said that there is not that much automation when it comes to, you can automate writing, it's okay. But when it comes to this content brief creation process, you will need to understand as much as possible. For instance, in the March core update, the word install and the word setup, until to the March core update, they were actually very close to each other. But in every core update, the distance, the semantic distance between the words, it changes. I have some content networks. They didn't have any cannibalization. But after March core update, whenever I have the word install and setup separately, they started to cannibalize. A tool wouldn't be able to actually recognize it or see that. Once you see that the search engine changes the topical distances or topical clusters, you will need to start changing your website according to that as well. Other day, I was training a team, and you can check the website, ABC Finance Co. UK. I worked with this website just during the COVID era. And I have written an article. We published like actually 30 articles there. In first Saigon speech, I also shared this website. I am not associated with it anymore. There's an article for there, types of interest rate. And I was training another very important big finance institution actually for ranking the interest rate and interest rate types. The funny thing is that in the first ranking, I see Investopedia, then some government website, and some other big websites too, like Bankrate. And the only website on the SERP without links, without brand power, without direct traffic was actually this website, ABC Finance. The issue there is, but when I have written this article, there were 8 types of interest rates. Still, it ranks like 5th or 6th through the 4 or 3 years, which is a success, if you ask me, because it competes with Investopedia or others. And today, I created the same brief or similar brief for the same topic, but the issue is that this time I have 16 type of interest rate, because in the last 4 years, the topic expanded. There are new entities, new concepts, new theories for the same topic. 4 years earlier, I was able to rank enough with just 8 type of interest rate. Today, I need to create 60. And the tools might not see these borders or these conceptual borders as it should be. You need to check it by yourself. But I also must tell that tools might be helpful for gaining time. I wouldn't give the last decision a tool, but I will check what they are giving to me in a very, very fast way. And there is one good one, Inframodus. It's a good one for examining the search engine result pages from a semantic text graphic way, and you can see which website actually has which entities, which connections they have, and you can try to reverse engineer it as much as possible.
What was the name of that tool again, sorry?
Infranodus.
Infranodus.
It's a very cheap tool, plus it is done by actually ex-Googlers. It's from Germany, and ex-Googlers created a tool. It's very cheap, like $90 per year or something, like very cheap, but they also integrated GPT. You can also reverse engineer and generate the content in the tool as well very quickly. So if you, again, I'm telling you, if you are not trying to rank for best online casinos, best credit cards, or best debt consolidation, or best life insurance, etc., very competitive things, probably you will be okay with the tools as well. I must tell that. But if you go for enterprise companies or global competitiveness, you will need to play with teeny tiny things to be able to create big difference, because your competitor spends like maybe $200,000 per month just for links. You also spend. So it's like a fuel game in anything.
What happens, I know you were saying, for example, the topical distance between some words can change and vary with different updates. And so let's say you have to reoptimize what you've done so far across your site. How do you do that at scale? Like, let's say someone's created a big website, they've been going for years, like that finance site. How do you reoptimize?
Well, I create my content briefs, and I call collection of all these briefs like semantic content network, because usually we have random content networks. We don't calculate these things. But once you start to calculate these things, actually, you create a content brief for multiple possibilities. So you don't create it just for ranking today. You also calculate if the search engine changes the distances. If the search engine suddenly starts to rank e-commerce websites, to be able to stay relevant, you also process other related topics or other related specific interpretations of the query as well. For instance, it's maybe a bad example, but after the war in Ukraine, for some websites that we have, we increased our rankings because we processed everything about Ukraine. And once there was a war, people were searching for Ukraine. And since we process every attribute of the Ukraine, it helped us to have the trend or trending query effect. According to the patents, and apparently according to Google Leak as well, if you have a trending topic on your website, and if there is a trending event as well, you increase your rankings for that entity. And if you have other entities from the same type, they also increase their rankings too. Thanks to using these trending events, for instance, the event here unfortunately means the war, but by using it, we were able to increase our rankings in a really good way. I had the opposite situation earlier because there was another war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And we were just an education website in Azerbaijan. Once there is war, there is nothing related to the war in our website, and that's why everything's stuck on the website. It was like increasing rankings, then suddenly drop. Even if the war passed, since the search behaviors didn't come back, since the historical data is different completely, the same algorithm didn't pick the website again. So based on these topical distance changes, if you create multiple combinations, you will be safe most of the time. If you're an affiliate, for instance, you can use e-commerce design, e-commerce layout. You don't have to be an e-commerce, but you can trick the search engine like at the appearing like an e-commerce, for instance. We also did it multiple times because they label websites according to their types, and then they give some certain type of boost, especially for that type, for certain queries. And these topical distance changes also affect that too. And maybe the term is fancy, the query processing. It is actually not that hard to understand. Let's say you write to the search bar, a bad example maybe, but maybe let's say you write the search bar Viagra. Search engine takes this word and starts to put predicates to the beginning, like read about Viagra, buy Viagra, compare Viagra, etc. You don't need to put it there. They already put it. Then they calculate the possibility of that specific processed version. And if you're able to create a content network that covers every possibility that can come before Viagra, after Viagra, then you will eventually be staying relevant to do every type of update anywhere.
So you put that on one page?
Sometimes one. For instance, again, from a one patent, decreasing latency for indexation is the name of the patent. For instance, they say that certain type of entities have certain type of templating attributes, and they put certain attributes onto the same page. For instance, if you have a disease, symptoms and treatments, they go into the same page because search engine indexes them in that way, like 99% of the time. One another issue in this game is that if one of the attributes have really huge amount of search demand, most of the time, all the high page rank websites focus on that specific attribute. And this forces search engine to create two different index for the same attribute. Sometimes you need to actually divide it. Sometimes you need to merge it. But most of the time, if there is not enough level of search demand, you can directly put all these things into the same page. One more angle there is historical data. When I say historical data, sometimes people are confused. It means clicks through history, but not just clicks. Let's say you search something and you select text, you touch the screen, you do mouse over, anything that you do in the SERP, all of them are historical data. And let's say from buy Viagra to do compare or best Viagra, if the search behaviors are changing, it means the document vocabularies will be changing too. If it is the situation, and if there is enough level of page rank for these documents, then they will create two different index, and you will need to be able to calculate this. The thing is, if you do this like 3 or 4 times, you will just see the patterns, because they don't create unique solutions for unique problems. From Viagra to the aspirin, what they do don't change. They go for a template for a certain type of entity. Once you get the template, the rest is easy.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, right? I know you talk about how, for example, if there's a core update and your site gets hit and then it starts dropping, it's in the negative ranking state.
Yes.
And so if you want to recover your site, ideally you want to take it from a negative ranking state to a neutral state first.
Yeah.
How do you do that before getting into a positive ranking state?
Most of the time, this helpful content update section is slightly different. I was able to save websites mainly by doing site migration with a really complex moves, like partial migration and complete migration. I published these case studies. We were able to save a few more, but they were like e-commerce, not like affiliate again. And another thing is that we had some, let's say, business directory websites. Even they were being hit where the best type of articles are, just from subfolders. So it means that they are like sniper shot sometimes when they say affiliate context. When it comes to fixing these websites from core update to core update, I have a case study for it. In 2019 even, it was the first one, and it was a finance niche website. It became the biggest finance website in Turkey right now. It means hangikredi.com, which means which credit is best.com. And in that specific website too, most of the time, first thing that I do is doing a log file analysis. Because most probably in the log files, you will see that search engine is crawling lots of shit that you even don't know that exists in that website. If you have, let's say, 4,000 URLs that are self-canonicalizing and exist in your sitemap, if you find 5 million URLs in your log files that actually don't exist in your internal links, which might be happening, first start cleaning all these specific things from your website. The second thing is that I strongly suggest you to decrease the amount of URLs on your website, because once you have less URLs, it means you have more page rank per URL. This is a metric that I am using, page rank per URL. You can also translate like ranking signal per URL. If you have 5,000 URLs, and if you are able to fix only 100 of them, you won't recover. For one thing that I do always is, I call them quality node. The name doesn't matter. I know sometimes it's fancy, but quality node basically means that we sometimes create so good documents. We directly link them from the homepage, and we directly try to show these most quality documents from homepage more frequently. Once you do this, the search engine's quality understanding is predictive. If your links on homepage leads them to the quality documents, they will increase your predictive quality understanding, which means if they keep crawling, they will see more quality documents even. And we try to give this signal from the homepage. We also remove most of the previous articles as much as possible that are hit by the search engine. And there are two things there. If it is de-indexed, I even don't redirect it, because there is a possibility that it might be penalized, and I don't want to get that penalization to the next URL. If it is just demoted, but at least have some impressions, I start to merge them. Like less pages with more value, with more satisfaction possibility as much as possible. If you have less pages with more value, it will start to tell the search engine that, okay, all these unnecessary URLs in the log files, they are gone. Most of the hit URLs or most of the day index URLs, they don't exist anymore. And most probably you have like, let's say 200 new, really, really quality comprehensive articles that are really easy to find from your homepage. This will start to change their perspective. We had a expired domain case study. I published it to give an example. And it was very interesting because website actually was from 1999. It has been used as a Shopify store and WooCommerce store as well. So expired domain was like that already. In fact, once I even have duplicated every article on that expired domain, and duplication rank higher than the original source. So it means the domain is already like that. That domain was being crawled only 26 times a day, for like 1 time per hour nearly. And we waited like 3 core updates. In the third one, it directly jumped to the 3,000 clicks a day because we were able to change their understanding. And when I checked the log files, there was a clear difference. In the first section, they were crawling old PDFs, like lots of scientific old athletic performance PDFs. In the second section, they were crawling what we have put onto the website. But it wasn't easy to give that signal, and we didn't use links. I suggested using it, but the owner didn't have the enough monetization. If you will use the links, it will go away much faster. I must tell that too. And basically, it's like that. If you want to go into natural state, please decrease the URL number as much as possible and understand this absolute fact. It's not about what you fixed. It is about what the search engine sees. If you have 5,000 URLs and if you just fix 100 of them, it's not good enough. That's why I'm decreasing the URL number so that when I publish 100 new pages, I am changing 20% of the website. But if I have like 50,000 URLs, it means I am just changing 1% or maybe 0.5% of the website. In the Google leak, if you look at there, you will see their update frequencies and eval time. Just search this in the leak, eval time. They are trying to understand when they should do re-evaluation. I call this re-ranking in my system. From time to time, they come back and they do a re-evaluation. Not an important info, but for instance, they don't check seconds. Right. They write it explicitly there. That's why I'm telling you. It was funny to me, to be honest. So at least they don't think that details. Just minutes is good. So basically, when they have this re-eval time, they are coming and checking again. They are coming and checking again. And whenever they see something new, it increases your chance of coming back as much as possible. And this is true. Without a core update, you won't be recovering. Even if John Muller says it, sometimes it won't be happening. One more suggestion, decrease the topical delusion. If you have multiple topics, and this is also from leak files. In my system, in my topical maps, for instance, I have 2 sections, one core, one author. Core section is directly for monetization. It is where we pass all the page rank, all the ranking signals. Author section is for historical data, because if you have more clicks from different type of topics, it helps search engine trust you. But these different topics should be connected to core. And I have something I call central entity, which means one main thing should exist site-wide. Your website should be about one particular thing. In the leak files, they have something they call site focus score. And they also have site embeddings. And they say that embedding means vector, but let's leave these hard concepts behind. I also want to simplify. Basically, that score tries to understand if you are deviating from the main focus of the website, they start to decrease your rankability. And this is directly from their leak file. These are also directly from their patterns. And my methodology also comes from patterns. That's why it is aligning there. We had a website, for instance, it was about guns. And we started to talk about bags, bottles, and purses. Then we are hit like after maybe 6 weeks or something. It was very quick. I was thinking like until core update, we will be okay. But no, they were running that classifier continuously for this type of website. So try to focus on one main thing as much as possible. Last one, have search demand for your brand name. If no one searches for you on the web, is something really bad, and you of course need links. PageRank is like a life jacket. This is also from patents. They say that explicitly Paul Har was in that invention. The patent name is multi-step query processing, and they say that if they see multiple queries in a single page, and if these queries are not relevant to each other that much, they look at one thing, PageRank. If you have PageRank, which means backlinks, they say not spam. If you don't have PageRank, it means spy. And that's why Forbes is just there, even if they do the same thing with you. They have PageRank.
I know one of the things you mentioned in one of your first videos on the course is that laziness is the biggest disease of our generation, right? That was one of the quotes. And a lot of people will be listening to this and thinking, this sounds like a lot of work, or it's too complex for me. What would your take be on that?
Maybe from an angle, to be honest, I agree with them. It's a lot of work. But when you lose 3,000 websites, friends, and when you see that people are just shattering and families are crying, and you start to see that doing a lot of work is way much safer than losing entire businesses and millions of dollars. And again, if you are a dentist from Alabama, you don't need to do that much work. You can do this like a hobby. But if you want to rank for enterprise level topics and you plan to work also for list clients, you will need to do a lot of work there. And the lucky side here is that we have AI today, and you can train AI to help and custom some processes for yourself. And when it comes to laziness, it's a law in the human nature, the law of easiness, or there was a law like that. It was explaining water. Water always flow from the easiest place to flow, right? And it's the human nature, but
The path of least resistance, right?
yeah, I guess least resistance it should be. And in this case too, I believe in search engine optimization, every year, I believe it gets harder. No year is easier than the previous one. 2019, we were complaining because feature snippets were just more becoming common and bird language model was coming. Then 2020-21, again, we were complaining voice search and other stuff. But if you ask me, every year will be harder and harder and harder. I don't think that 2030 will be easier than today. I believe it will be very much harder than today. So that's why I said that 40% of the SEOs today, I think they won't be in the industry after 2 years. Not because of AI, you've asked me, because of laziness, because people will be able to do this simple stuff anyway. And you will need to solve more complex problems that machines can't solve. And it will force you to go on that level, even if you don't want to. So, to be honest, I would like to agree that easier things, I wish, I don't want to tire myself too. I wish I'm not enjoying it at all. I don't enjoy writing 500,000 words or explaining everything over and over again or going 15 conferences in 15 months. I don't enjoy it, to be honest. But unfortunately, it's an obligation, and this is the nature. And every year, just compare 2012 to the 2022. In 2012, you would be able to rank with anything. Like we were ranking like the pop ads. We were just putting money and giving a keyword, choosing the Chrome browser, and we were telling that we want traffic from these websites. We were flowing the traffic to our PBN, and then we were getting Googlebot directed to our website, and we were increasing rankings. Then we realized that if we do DDoS attack on websites, the same thing was happening again. We stopped paying even pop ads. So DDoS attacking yourself or your own websites with DDoS is even easier, way easier. But if 1 million people wants to rank for best online casino, you will need to show your difference. It's not easy, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess semantic SEO is a competitive advantage that most people won't be willing to put in the time and the effort to learn it.
I believe it's the best advantage, to be honest, definitely. Because I believe no one will read 4,000 patents. I guess mine was a bit different. I accept that. You don't need to exaggerate like me, but still, when I look at the industry situation overall, I don't think that most agencies are even prepared for next year that much. And they also don't care because clients don't demand. Clients don't tell them to, please do a research for next year. Clients tell them to how the traffic changes for the last month and how is the conversion rates. And do we need more links? Do we need more articles? What we should actually refresh? And this is one of the problems in SEO a little bit, because the clients, the person who orders the service, doesn't understand anything from SEO. And if you understand SEO deeply, it starts to create a gap. And once you close that gap, you have to do very simple direct things like the packages, for instance, link packages or topical map services, for instance. For 4 years, I even didn't sell any topical map, because I know that if I sell it, person won't be able to use it properly, at least. That's why I rejected the selling it, and I wanted to teach how to do it to the people. So in my opinion, most agencies, most SEOs are not ready for the future, and we can help this industry a little bit by changing the mindset and changing the culture altogether, like Erfan did, for instance. He could use it for himself, but he has chosen to help, for instance. And to be honest, I could also stay silent behind the doors. Until 2020, I wasn't sharing that much too. I started to share later after getting these reactions, like the family pictures, or some people sent their babies' pictures even, or like last week, Matias Dios from our community, he sold his website for 7 figures. And he has sent an email to me like, Koray, thank you for this course. It was the main reason for this success. And we will do an interview with him as well, for instance. When you see these things, okay, there is a few more important things. Maybe I can tell one more thing is Bill Slawski. Since he lost his life, I just felt that a duty there, like completing what he left half, like helping the industry to change as much as possible there.
What do you think will change next year? I know you said most agencies are not prepared for next year, and to some people, they'll be listening to that and thinking, what's coming? What's going to happen next?
One of the first things there is the automation in search engine optimization. It will probably go really wild, because imagine that you use Google Search Console API. It gets all the impression losing queries after 7 days. Then you can actually give this data to one of the agents that you already trained. Agent actually can start to optimize the semantics as much as possible based on this impression loss. Then directly with an automation, you can actually submit back to your article. If the impression loss actually coming back, you can also see this in your report as much as possible. And I believe this type of automation will be eliminating the need of any agency or any consultant in a really huge way. Because if you have second by second, if you know which websites stopped appearing on the SERP, or which page stopped being crawled by the search engine, like a health check, like imagine that you track your heartbeat, and imagine that you do the same for the website for every query. Literally, and this was one of the plans of Hamlet Batista with the rank sense. He was planning to use actually Cloudflare for that. He was basically trying to automate everything, and we were talking once, and he told me that, Koray, in the future, probably we will have 1,000 clients at least. And he believed that actually only a few agencies will stand there. Agencies with a difference, like not beyond automation, because this problem never goes away. Let's say we automate everything. I automate, you automate, he automates. Then the difference again will be coming from these teeny tiny details, like very little fractions from really huge deep research. So by starting next year, I believe automation will start to go really wild. For instance, auto-blogging AI and some other tools out there. Right now, they are like very primitive. But after a certain amount of time, they might be really crazy, to be honest. And another thing is the search demand. The one thing that actually Google can use always to separate a fully automated website from a real brand, from a real business, is the direct search demand. You can create the best website about cancer treatment or hair transplant today. But if no one searches for your fake doctor on the profile, or if no one searches for your fake clinic on the web, and if there is no historical data for it, it's very hard to convince the search engine. It's a huge barrier there. And most agencies don't focus on this fact as well. And links also might not be good enough to exceed that barrier. Another thing is that Google is like in the most ruthless era. They're literally like throwing websites to the garbage bin. It wasn't like that earlier. They were just warning a few times. Now they are de-indexing completely, giving manual penalties for subfolders, and they're sending most of the web like to the actual garbage bin. And I believe because of that, most agencies again will have hard problems. There was an affiliate agency, I won't give the name. All of their clients are now e-commerce. They changed all the clients like in 1 month. And one day also clients will change agencies in a similar way as well. So I believe it is like a earthquake to tsunami at the same time. It will continue. It's like a roller coaster in SEO. Also, Google doesn't know what they are doing properly too, if you ask me, because they try to bring these AI overviews. In the first month, they didn't allow users to even close it because they want data. They force you to use it so they can examine what you are doing there. And in this AI overview section too, we will have different type of new rules to rank there. One of them, and again, I'm suggesting here one main thing for you. Check the patents of Stephen D. Baker. He is the inventor of featured snippets. He is also the author of AI, not of AI overview, but Search Generative Experience is direct term of Stephen D. Baker. And he is the brain behind most of the AI overviews that you see. And he directly says, for instance, in one of his patents, if you match 4 words between the question and the answer, it increases the satisfaction. If it is 3, which means 3 gram, it's not good enough. And I believe in the AI search, there will be these type of very quick rules to be able to rank there or to be able to manipulate it. The problem is that in the AI search, the query length is too long. 20 words of sentences, we can't call them like query anymore. And once you have these 20 words, for instance, let's say you search, go Bing Chat, for instance, today, search for debt consolidation for teachers, debt consolidation for veterans, debt consolidation for doctors. In reality, for debt consolidation from doctors to the teachers, there might not be that much difference. But if you mention these occupations in your document, you will be starting to appearing for that generative AI answers as well. It means that you will need very much more combinations. And if you have all these combinations, you might be appearing more for generative AI, but you might be diluting your relevance to the actual query in the regular results. Balancing these two will be like a new art in SEO. And I don't think that most SEOs or agencies even focused on these possibilities yet. We even don't have a tool to track properly AI answers yet. Nightwatch tried to do a few things there. SEMrush announced it. But also, I don't know how much they will charge for tracking the AI answers as well. So most things there will be a bit different.
Just on that topic, do you see the case study from Cyrus Shepherd, I think it was, who basically got the AI featured in the AI overviews, but lost a snippet as a result, which kind of sounds like what you're talking about.
Yeah, because while you are optimizing for one thing, you will lose relevance for another thing. And then the search engine will need to diversify the search engine result pages, which is another problem all the time. Sometimes, for instance, you are not ranking in the feature snippet, not because your answer is bad, because probably you are already dominating the niche, and the search engine doesn't give you more coverage there. Usually they call this link value proposition. This is a patent term. It means that if they give you too many links here means rankings. If they give you too many blue links from the SERP, it means that you need to give a value back. And in this section, there is a limit that you can get there according to the patent, which means they limit your rankings after a point. They don't want you to be appearing more. And if you appear in snippet, AI overview, regular result, people also ask question, and also GPP there, they will need to start diversify the results a little bit. Maybe you remember the concept of Google bombing. It was very old concept.
No.
Google bombing means it's like 2015-16. Basically, you create 20 websites, let's say for cheap Viagra, and you get first 2 pages. Or best CBD. You get first 2 pages with different websites because you get all the links, all the traffic, fake traffic. And directly you close the first 2 pages of Google. And this is called Google bombing. Since these days, they try to diversify the search results as much as possible. And most probably these AI answers will be like that too. That's why I started to suggest people have multiple websites in a topic or in an industry. You can focus with one of them, you can focus on a certain type of rankings. With another one, you can focus on different type of rankings, and you can also risk it whenever you want. Since you have two lives right now, it's easier to take risks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. Is there anything else you want to say before you go?
Thank you. To be honest, I had a migraine at the beginning, not related to you, but planes usually do that. And also thanks for bringing all this color and excitement to our industry, and I believe people are really lucky. We needed this excitement and new faces, so I'm really happy to see that you are actually making your own space in the industry. Because I always want to support all the independent voices in the industry. For instance, when I look at US, UK, they are very mono. I don't know the English word, like there is only a single voice and it's the mainstream media voice. But on your hand, I am sure that Googlers are actually following you. You are also targeted by Google.
Yep.
And it makes you actually my gladiator brother. So in this case, whoever is targeted by Google, believe me, you can stay in my house as much as you can. I will support you, because whenever I see that Google is controlling SEOs, it's like really makes me annoyed. So that's why I believe all the Googlers, I'm sure that they are directly watching you. They just they have that ring the bell on. I'm sure that John Miller or all the search relations team, I'm sure that they are a little bit following you. Charles Flood also had this similar situation. Irfan already is having that. So by supporting these new voices, I believe we will have a free mind in the SEO industry, and we will be more open to the new ideas. That's why, thank you for that.
Appreciate it, man. All right. And if you haven't checked out Koray's channel yet on YouTube, definitely check it out. You've got an amazing community as well. I'm part of it. Yeah. So it's amazing.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks. If you want to get a free SEO course, links inside the comment description. And if you want free to book in a one-to-one SEO strategy session, links inside the comment description. And you'll get an SEO domination pad, discover the secrets of link building, and we'll answer any questions you have. All right. So much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Bye.